Hi, everyone. Can everybody hear me very well back at the end of the room? All right, good. Well, actually, today is my first time that I visit Sofia Game Jam, and I had no idea what to expect, but I'm very pleasantly surprised by how many people are there and how many people are attending our presentation. Have you heard about Chaos Group before? You can raise your hand, those of you who have. Okay, great. And what about V-Ray? Nice. That's very good. Well, my goal today is to get you familiar with a bit better with Chaos Group, what we do, who uses our software, and for what kinds of project they use it. So I, as a 3D artist, I'm going to speak from the point of view of a 3D artist. So when I started preparing for this presentation, the first thing that I did was, of course, the standard slides. At first, I thought, like, okay, we are a Bulgarian company. We have headquarters here in Sofia, but we also have different offices in some other places. We are currently over 250 people. This amount of people are using our software, and so on and so on. But even at that point, I thought that perhaps this is going to be a very boring presentation. So instead of using the boring slides, what I'm going to do is include the work of our users, how they used it in their projects. And we are going to take also a look at some different examples. But before we get into that, why do we need CGI in VFX industry? Well, if a few years before, when it comes to visual effects, it was okay to build a set, to create, to make some different explosions and so on, and to work with the positioning of the camera to achieve a certain look. But the technology was developing with time, and it became bigger and bigger part of the movie industry. And of course, the visual effects, they became a lot more complex, a lot more difficult to produce in real life. And that's why 3D and CGI has become a very, very crucial part of a lot of movies and VFX. And of course, it's a bit difficult nowadays to build all the sets that we see as scenes in different movies. That's why we have a lot of blue screen, we have a lot of green screen, and all the rest is CGI. And of course, not to mention that some of the stunts are nearly impossible to do or very dangerous. So once again, we need the 3D. And we are not talking only about the final result, the final picture that we see the movie theater, but also a lot of different stages. They are using 3D rendering to make the decisions while they're working on a certain project. That includes also stages like concept art. And here, of course, we are talking also not only about 3D rendering, but simulations, smoke, fire, liquids. You can only blow a truck so many times before you run out of your budget. And we, as a company, we provide different solutions for the 3D artists, for people who work with visual effects. We provide different tools that they can use in their workflow to visualize their ideas in the best possible way and to bring to life their creative ideas. So our most well-known product is V-Ray, a 3D rendering plugin for different platforms, and we recently just made it available with cloud rendering. But we also have Phoenix FD, which is our software for creating simulations, fire, smoke, liquids, different explosions, and a lot more. We also have VR scans, which are our highly photorealistic materials, and actually we take samples, we scan them in our office, and that is very commonly used in interior designs, automotive, because it allows people to send their actual materials that, let's say, they use for a car, scan them, and then use in a 3D space. And of course, with so many different tools, they have to be available for the different artists. Some of them work on lighting, some of them work on shading, modeling, and a lot more. So the software that we need to provide has to be flexible. It has to cater to everybody. And if we take, for example, movies, let's say this one. Do you recognize this guy? No, me neither. Well, Digital Domain worked on a few, actually quite a lot of sequences, including this character. And it's a very interesting one because unlike a lot of villains that we have in movies, this one had a lot of screen time, and not just covered with smoke, with motion blur and some different effects, but he had also a lot of close-ups. So when Digital Domain worked on this character, they could not spare any details. So they needed to include to have all the pores, all the wrinkles, everything had to be there. And when you have a movie scene, it can go very heavy quite quickly, and of course that could lead to some challenges with the RAM. So we needed to, actually with V-Ray, we provide a lot of different solutions, including those that will allow you to manage your geometry in the best possible way. And also they even added a bit of pitch fuzz. I don't know if you have noticed it when you looked at the movie. And of course, those people who are working with lighting lighting the scenes, lighting the characters, they need quite a different set of tools. Like here, for example, the Digital Domain, they had some challenges when they needed to light this character because he had to work in different environments with a different armor, different materials on him, and they even paid attention to the shadows. So they need quite a lot of different tools to be able to do that. And in the end, they also find out that this character works best with cold lighting with some warm highlights. And that includes not only Thanos, but a lot of different characters, like Nebula or Red Skull, where you need a different solution for the different skins of these characters. And quite often when a studio is working on a project, on a movie, they're not working alone. They actually collaborate with other studios. They even exchange assets. And of course, they need different types of solutions for exchanging those assets and bringing them as fast as possible to their scenes. And while here we have an example of a CGI that is very obvious, you know it right away that we have 3D, but it can also be very subtle in different movies. in different VFX studios. It could be a whole character, CGI character, or it could be a very subtle one, like having a building that doesn't exist anymore. So providing those set of tools for the different people working on different parts of a project, and it all led to a very, very big achievement for us that we are very proud of. And in 2017, actually, our lead developer was awarded with Academy Award for scientific and technical achievement for V-Ray. And that's because V-Ray was highly used in a lot of different productions, in a lot of different sequences, and I'm actually sure that you probably have seen one or two. But VFX and movie industry is not the only sphere where you need 3D visualization. And actually in architecture, this is the first industry where V-Ray became popular. And architects, interior designers were using them for their work, from a simple interior to a building to even a whole complex of buildings, neighborhoods, urban planning, and so on. Advertisement is another industry where probably, whether you're looking at a commercial or a print ad or something on a billboard, it probably will have one or two parts, or even the whole thing will be CGI, will be a 3D. And that could be a product, but it can be also a game. Like if you need to create a cinematic trailer, then of course you will need a way to render it. And having all of that in all of those different softwares for simulation, for rendering, for scanning materials, it doesn't just show up. Behind all of that stays a huge team where here you can see a very small part of it. And we have from different teams, from developers to 3D team, marketing, and a lot more. And in our work, we are very lucky to be able to communicate, to talk with a lot of our users that are working on a very large projects, on very inspiring projects. Like in this case, a completely new hair shader had to be written, and it was used in the movie Maleficent. But it also became part of V-Ray, so now even if you want to work on a character, you can use the same shader that was used in the movie. So we get to talk and work with a lot of our users, see what kind of challenges they have, and provide different solutions for them. We also, of course, work on our own assets, our own different projects, including from VFX to architecture. There is no limit in terms of creativity. We get a chance to travel a lot and meet with different people, provide information about how our products work, and just overall teach the different industries how they can use and improve their current workflows. But I think that the best part of what we do is actually being part of this community and meeting very inspiring and motivating people. And to sum up my part of this presentation, I want to show you a quick showreel of work created by our users, and I hope that you will find at least something that will inspire you. So let's take a look. All right, thank you.
Any questions? We can take a couple of questions if anybody has any. No?
Yes?
Hello. I'm just
Hi.
curious. How relevant is your product for gaming?
Well, it depends. When it comes to cinematic trailers, creating advertisement for a game, then it will be very related.
No more questions? Okay. Thank you very much for the inspiring presentation.